Welcome to the MasterMind Library. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and your host of the MasterMind Library. I'd like to give a big shout out and thanks to my wife, Shonda, who stepped in on episode 55 and read the remainder of chapter 13 in this amazing book, Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. Ladies, go get this book. This book right here is powerful. It's got some great information in it. So we've been reading Sacred Woman now for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks now, and we're getting close to coming to its end. So I hope that the ladies are practicing the material. When you got your own copy, maybe got the audio version online, YouTube, uh, or various other options. Barnes and Nobles, all kinds of different options. This book is something special, y'all. So if you haven't had a chance to grab it, go grab it. It's worth it. All right. So today we are in chapter 14, Gateway 9, Nefer Atum, the Sacred Lotus Initiation. Spiritual guardians, Ast, Nefer Atum. Ancestors, Queen Hatshepsut, Mary McLeod Bethune. Elders, Nana Ansa Atei, Empress Akwe. Contemporary, Anakua Ast Atum. All right, and here goes your altar work right here. Feel free to screenshot, do whatever you need to do. Hopefully y'all able to see that good. It's a little hard for me to see. All right. Boom, boom. There you go. All right. Okay. Gateway 9, Nefer Atum, the Sacred Lotus Initiation Daily Spiritual Observances. Gateway element, ether. Ancient African spiritual women adorn themselves by covering with a lotus blossom, what we call the third eye, between the eyebrows, but it is actually the first eye. The lotus represents spiritual illumination and beauty. Placing the lotus over the brow means one has a perfected state of consciousness, an illuminated mind that is a garden of peace. Out of the mud comes forth the sacred lotus, Nefer Atum, symbol of beauty, grace, purity, and perfection. Her wisdom tells us that what appear to be life's challenges, struggles, ups and downs, confusion, pain, and sadness are actually opportunities for us to move up out of the mud. As we move through these tests, challenges, and struggles, we bring forth our inner lotus, the reflection of our inner beauty. For the ascension of your soul, meditate daily on the lotus blossom on your brow. Envision what the lotus represents so that you will manifest nature's beauty from deep within. Through Nefer Atum, the sacred lotus initiation gateway, you will experience oneness with the creator creatress, divine inspiration, divine wisdom, spiritual unity, and empowerment in body, mind, and spirit. This will place you in the seat of Ast, the great mother, a reflection of your higher self reborn as a sacred woman. Gateway 9, Nefer Atum. The sacred lotus initiation will eliminate sacred initiation blockages in the body temple, the inability to move forward, or a feeling of being stuck in a rut or trapped. The spiritual exercises of ascension are to be performed daily for 7 days, the number for the spirit. This will awaken your inner gateways of divinity so that you may blossom into your full sacred center. 1. The spiritual bath. Use lotus oil for the divine oneness of nectar, inspiration, and wisdom. It brings forth the sacredness of the womb and ignites higher spiritual consciousness. Place 4 to 6 drops of lotus oil in your bathwater. 2. Your altar. Set up your sacred altar on the first day of your entry into this gateway. You may set up your altar according to your spiritual or religious beliefs. See page 18. Sit before it quietly and meditatively on the floor, on a pillow, or in a chair. Add a few drops of lotus oil to the baptismal bowl on your altar and sprinkle a few drops around your prayer space. Anoint with lotus oil. Select only pure essential oils. Use lotus oil to anoint your crown, forehead, the body temple gateway of supreme spirituality, heart, the body temple gateway of compassion and divine love, womb area, palms to make everything you touch become more sacred, and the bottoms of your feet to spiritually align yourself for stepping out in power, promise, and faith. 3. Opening the gateway. To invoke each gateway spiritual guardian, you may use whatever words pour from your heart. For example, here's a prayer that might be used at Gateway 9. Sacred and divine Nefer Atum, spiritual guardian of the gateway of sacred lotus initiation, please accept my deepest gratitude for your healing presence on my altar and in my life. Thank you for your guidance and inspiration, and for your love and blessings. And please accept my love and blessings in return. Het Tepu. As you offer your prayer, simultaneously shake, ring, beat, or rattle a sacred instrument, sistrum bell, drum, shekeri, or bells, to awaken the neter that is indwelling. 4. Libation. Pour a libation for the Nefer Atum, sacred lotus initiation gateway, from a special cup, or sprinkle water from a bowl onto the earth or a plant as you call out this prayer of praise and adoration. Pour a libation as you say. All praise and adoration to the spiritual guardians, Ast and Nefer Atum, protectors of the sacred lotus initiation. Pour a libation as you say. All praise and adoration to the ancestor of the sacred lotus initiation, Queen Hatshepsut. Pour a libation as you say. All praise and adoration to the elders of the sacred lotus initiation, Nana, Ansa, Atai, and Empress Akwaki. Pour a libation as you say. All praise and adoration to my divine self and my contemporary divine sister, Anukua Atum, who honors the sacred lotus initiation. 5. Sacred woman spirit prayer. Ring a bell or play another sacred instrument at the beginning and end of this prayer. As you open your palms to the sacred spirit or gently place them over your heart, recite Sacred Woman Spirit Prayer. Sacred Woman in the making. Sacred Woman reawaken. Sacred Spirit hold me near. Protect me from all harm and fear. Beneath the stones of life, direct my steps in the right way as I journey through this vision. Sacred Spirit, surround me in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint me in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless me, truly bless me, as I share this sacred life. Teach me, Sacred Spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach me how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. 6. Sacred initiation prayer. Shake bells, beat a sacred drum, or play another instrument at the beginning and ending of this prayer. Great and divine spirit, great and divine supreme mother, thank you for showing me the way to becoming a realized sacred woman. I thank you for awakening me to my true nature, for opening the gateways of sacred woman enlightenment. I thank you for washing my soul at the shore of the great ocean of Nu, for charging me with the light of the sun's rays, for delivering me a refreshed breath of life, for helping me to stand on solid ground as I return to my sacred woman's seat of stability and strength, poise, ease, and empowerment. I thank you, great and divine spirit, great and divine supreme mother, for reawakening and healing my womb, for bringing power back into my words and serenity into my silence. I thank you for giving me the foods that reflect good health and longevity, for cleansing my space and presenting me with a sacred home, for beautifying me and bringing out my creativity in unlimited ways. I thank you for healing my life and giving me the desire to help others to heal themselves. I thank you for restoring all my relations, for giving me the courage to experience sacred union, and for filling my spirit with joy and gratitude. 7. Chanting Hezi. Chant this Hezi 4 times. Nuk, Pu, Netert, Humt. I am a sacred woman. 8. Fire breaths. Prepare for your fire breathing by slowly inhaling 4 times and exhaling 4 times. Then, when you are totally at ease, begin your 1,000 fire breaths. Inhale deeply like a pump through your nose, mouth closed, as you expand the breath down into the abdomen, then back up to the chest. Completely exhale out through your nostrils from your abdomen as it contracts and the lungs release your breath completely. Repeat this breath rapidly in and out, in and out. Allow each deep fire breath to represent the opening of the 1,000 lotus petals of illumination and radiance to reach Nefer Atum, the ultimate African lotus station of divinity. 9. Gateway 9. Sacred Lotus Initiation Meditation. Increase the length of time you spend in meditation every 7 days. The longer you are in meditation, the deeper your inner peace will be, and the more solid your spirit will become. The cleaner your body temple, the sooner it will be able to live permanently in the peace and inner balance of the meditative state. Welcome home, High Queen. Breathe deep. You are finally through. You have risen above many challenges and crossroads, and you may now take your rightful place in your seat of Ast. Take your amethyst in your right hand, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. You are here now. You have finally arrived. As you sit in your seat of divine power, allow the light within you to emanate from your center as you emerge with the dynamic force of unlimited, ever-flowing light and energy from within. You will never be separated from your seat again. This seat of highest good, where the lotus grows under and around it, where strength is secured, good deeds flow, wisdom soars, excellent health manifests, and compassion and nurturing reside. An enlightened sacred woman, you sit upon this seat by your very nature. The light has been awaiting you for thousands of years, for lifetimes gone by. Welcome home to this great seat of our beginnings. Color visualization. Visualize the color of the gateway while in meditation. White with light blue for purification, illumination, and devotion. As you perform your meditation, wear white and/or place a white cloth on your altar. Sacred stone meditation. While in meditation, hold an amethyst in your palm over your crown. The amethyst is the sacred healing stone of the Nefer Atum gateway. 10. Herbal tonics. Drink solar water during spiritual prayer work and throughout the week. This is pure water charged by the sun for 1 to 4 hours. 11. Flower essences. To deepen your experience of Gateway 9, choose from the following flower essences. Take 4 drops 4 times per day directly on or under the tongue, or add the same amount to a small glass of purified water and sip. For instructions on how to choose flower essences, see page 23. Star Tulip. Spiritual receptivity, opening the feminine aspect of the self to the higher worlds. Pomegranate, creative expression of the feminine aspect of self. Mugwort, enhancing and balancing moon-like receptive qualities of the psyche. Iris, creating a chalice or inner vessel for receiving higher inspiration, attunement to feminine forces. Angelica, attunement with spiritual beings, protection and guidance from the angelic realms. Alpine lily, greater inner space for the feminine self. Lotus, spiritual elixir, enhances and harmonizes higher consciousness, open and expansive spirituality, meditative insight and synthesis. 12. Diet. Follow the Sacred Woman transitional dietary practices presented for Gateway 7 and 8. In preparation for Gateway 9, the Sacred Lotus Initiation, choose one of the following dietary observances. Consume 100% raw, live, uncooked food or follow the Sacred Woman 7-Day Fast, page 175. 13. Sacred Initiation Journal Writing. This is best done after internal cleansing, enema, and or meditation. When you are cleansed and centered, you can receive spiritual messages from the One Most High with grace. When you are in the Spirit, messages travel down through your spirit mind, to your heart, into your hand, and onto the paper. This is how I do all my writing. The best time to receive your spiritual inspired written work is after you have completed your altar work between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Keep your journal and a very special pen by or on your altar to work with the power, force, and stillness at the coming of dawn, the hour of Nebhet. Affirm your daily life. Write in your journal at this time thoughts, activities, experiences, and interactions that present themselves. You can also write down your visions, desires, dreams, and affirmations so that you will be able to draw on these resources when help and support are most needed. Consult Sisheta. If you find that you are unable to contact your inner voice during your journal work, call Sisheta, the keeper and revealer of secrets, who is indwelling, to assist and speak through you. 14. Sinab Freedom Shawl or Quilt. Choose a new piece of cloth that corresponds to the gateway color, indicated in exercise 9 of your daily spiritual observances or in sacred altar work, to add to your Sinab Freedom Shawl or Quilt. This cloth will serve as a mini canvas to represent your experience in the gateway you're working in. Also, collect meaningful symbols that can be added to your shawl or quilt in a plick or patchwork style. You can add stones, other natural objects, collectibles, family heirlooms, photographs that have been reprinted on fabric, or any other significant items that embody the essence of your experience. Give your imagination free rein and let your craftswoman spirit tell your story. For more information about the Sinab Freedom Shawl or Quilt, see pages 122 to 125. 15. Sacred Tools. Place a sacred feather representing Ma'at and shells representing Nu, the ocean, on your altar. Create a scale to weigh the feather against your heart. Sacred reminder. 16. Sacred reminder. Throughout this week, observe closely the wisdom presented for the gateway you're in. For maximum results, live freely and harmonize with the various systems of wellness and practice the 7-day transformative work at the end of the gateway. Closing sacred words. Mother, Father, Divine, help me walk through my life as a sacred journey of lessons learned and visions realized. Help me to be reborn as a sacred woman. Our ancient Kemetic heritage as women. In ancient times in Kemet, Egypt, women were sacred. They were treated with great respect and reverence. They were lifted up. In the societies of ancient Nubia and Kemet, women were free. These African women were very successful in their own right. They owned property, stood side by side with their men in business and personal life, and were priestesses passing on spiritual wisdom. The lineage of the children passed through the mother. You can even see from the shape of the symbolic Ankh how the women of this time were viewed. She was represented as the top loop on the Ankh, supported by her king as the lower part. In this way, together, they brought forth the future, our children, as a mighty nation. The Ankh was carried religiously by the king and queen and priest and priestess daily to represent our high order. The Ankh, a symbol of initiation. Ancient African queens, priestesses, kings, and priests thousands of years ago wore and carried the Ankh. The Ankh is the sacred symbol born from the African Kemetic people that represents the continuity of life eternal, water, air, fire, earth, woman, womb, children, man. Ast, Heru, Asar. The Ankh is the perennial sign and symbol of unity. It unites all the elements and thus acts as a tool of healing. The sacred Ankh, key of life, calls us to remember the first African family, our Adam and Eve, the divine mother Ast, the divine father Asar, and the immaculately born child Heru, our cultural hero. In ancient times, we saw the creator creatress represented in both male and female aspects to serve as a model for divine balance throughout society. To put a woman down, suppress her, beat her, not only was considered a societal crime, but was above all a spiritual crime against the feminine aspect of the Most High dwelling within all men and women. The 42 laws of Ma'at were named after the female Neteru, Ma'at, who represented peace, harmony, justice, and righteousness. The laws were designed to establish for us a divine spiritual order for correct living. These laws are found written on the walls of ancient Kemet to this day, so that we would never forget the supreme natural law. And this is just for anybody who has not seen an Ankh before. There you go, right there. All right. A supreme initiation, returning to the ancient temples of my ancestors. Although it has been a long time coming, through the writing of this book, I've been allowed to return home to Kemet. Thousands of years have passed since I lived here, and I have journeyed through numerous incarnations to reach my original destiny. It was so good to go home again, to reacquaint myself with myself in the land that was my beginning. I revisited 10 or more temples in a state of awe and amazement at our ancient way of life. The architectural brilliance left me spellbound. The spiritual adeptness left me in a place of profound gratitude. The cultural vastness, absolute intelligence, and electrifying beauty left me breathless. The depiction of our way opened me up to the greater possibilities of my life and greater hopes for my people's healing. I kept thinking that maybe we can't all go home again in body, but home is available to us all. If we dare to claim it in spirit, we can be delivered to our ultimate liberty through the true knowledge of self that this journey brings. As I traveled from temple to temple, I became more and more encouraged and inspired to live out my African legacy. Everyone discouraged me from traveling to Kemet during the summer months. Yet I soon discovered that the heat of Kemet was part of my initiation. It forced me to go deep inside myself to work through, above, and beyond the extreme transformative healing heat that Sun Ra poured through me. Sun Ra was at its height, which helped me open to all that I received in an unforgettable way. It emblazoned the spiritual, the cultural, and the healing path that our beloved ancestors walked. The heat seemed a necessary tool to help me experience our potential power and greatness as the original people of light. For me, this journey home was like drinking liquid gems, diamonds, rose quartz, and lapis lazuli poured into a sacred chalice of pure distilled water. I drank my journey down, and it reached into my aritu chakras. With each swallow, clarity and enlightenment emerged. I began to experience, more than at any other time in my life, a clear vision of where I was going. Because now I knew where I'd come from. For years, I'd heard many of our historians and spiritual leaders and scholars speaking of Kemet or Egypt. They all spoke of our greatness in the past tense, but for me, it is all present. It is all now. Our past greatness is in our present, waiting for us to access it as we begin to clean up our body temple where the Most High dwells. As we begin to pray to the Most High in an ancient way. We fly as Heru, the falcon. Everything in life has been leading me to this journey: the studying, the readings, the workshops, the self healing, the channeling, the dancing, the sweat lodges, my marriage to my teacher and mentor. It was all leading me back home to my divine ancestral past. All praise to the creator creatress. How had my transformation come about? The temples of our holy land spoke to my soul, and the interaction was glorious. Evere, my son through marriage, said before my departure that I would never be the same after my journey to Kemet. He was right. I have been touched by the light and the glory of Neter, my creator creatress, because of that pilgrimage. I wondered to myself in my still moments how and why this journey was having such a profound effect on me. Was it because of this divine souls that was it because of the divine souls that I traveled with? Baba Haru, our teacher and priest, my husband, who also acted as our guide through the sacred temples. Was it due to those I call the Mezu Heru sisters? The Mezu Heru were four female guardian angels who guarded and protected the sacred organs of those traveling from the physical world to the spiritual world. These guardian women in my life are Ingani Choice, an ambassador of purification, Tain, Tainran Ox Cheta, a Kemetic priestess, and Sint Tehuti, heal thyself, ambassador of purification, and my initiate. We had traveled to Kemet, and now we were homeward bound. These women had vowed to live a pure, culturally and spiritually attuned life. Was it because of them that my journey had been so supremely elevating? Was it because we had all cleansed, fasted, bathed, prayed, and studied our Nile Valley legacy to prepare for this soul journey? Or was it the constant heat of 105 degrees plus that purged and delivered us to purity? Was it that no matter how challenging the events, we promised to remain in Hotep, peace? Was it the white clothing we wore daily with a shawl or head wrap to indicate the cosmic color of the day? Or was it just our time? I believe it was all those things wrapped into one that made our trip so utterly Nefer Atum, sweet and illuminating. We were tested to the max as Kepeta. Transformation worked on us daily. Through the exercise of patience, tolerance, endurance, we came up, Heru, victoriously, like falcons flying high above set challenges. We came through our initiations, each one on a different plane, but all in Neter, Ma'at, divine right order. All of us, from generation to generation, have been told untruths or half truths or outright lies about our legacy as divine African beings who once ruled the earth. It was a campaign designed to destroy our relationship with our most powerful sacred self. And yet the entire human family emerged from us. And one day soon we will come to see and know the truth that will set us all free. We, the African people of the Nile Valley, breastfed everyone, from beloved Moses and the Persians and the Greeks to the Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, and Mother Mary. The walls of the temples of our African ancestors tell the great story of our noble legacy. For centuries, foreigners have tried to dislocate us from our source of spirituality, but the truth could not be denied to us as our group stood before our massive, powerful, all encompassing beings. We channeled and we listened and saw. Ost, the great mother, and Asar, the great father, worked through our teacher Baba Haru as he performed spiritual, psychological, cultural, and surgical work to weave back together all our disconnected parts. For thousands of years, our bloodlines have been dismantled. Our self worth, self esteem, self love, pride, and healing were all replenished on our glorious journey to our past and present. We all agreed that the legacy of slavery no longer had a hold on our souls. Our cells had been recharged, our DNA restored. We had become reborn, liberated Nubians. The sacred woman speaks, go home now. As I was coming to the very end of a 3.5 year journey of the writing of Sacred Woman, the spirit of the sacred woman, the spirit of this book, spoke to me loud and clear. Go home, she said. Go home to Kemet. You can no longer procrastinate. The time is now. For I will have one more thing to say to you before I release you. Once you have journeyed home, I will speak through you, and then you will be done. The writing of Sacred Woman grew out of the process of following a particular life path for 25 years. It is a record of my steps as part of an ancient way that I have adopted and accepted and reenacted as a means of healing myself. It has been my way of supporting other women in their healing, particularly the African woman. As I reached the end of the book, the sacred woman demanded in a loving way that I undergo an initiation that would end and begin with my journey to and from Kemet, our mother, Egypt. Go home, she said, now. 7 weeks later, at 105 degrees, and on the ninth day of travel, I stood before my royal spiritual family surrounding me on the various temple walls. I wasn't sure which day I had entered which temple, for the 9 days had felt like one time, intense coming forth from night to day, of coming out and rising up into myself through my past. It was all leading me to a great, good, getting up morning, a new period of divine bliss. This trip marked the beginning of a new age for me in every sense of the word, a greater opportunity for a richer life on a soul level. My temple initiations in Luxor, ancient Thebes, at the vast temple complex of Karnak, built at the beginning of the 12th dynasty, CA 1785 BCE. I stood inside the temple of the Holy Family of Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefer Atum, and had an experience that saddened and empowered me all at the same time. I witnessed a living oracle taking place through me. After much walking through vast columned chambers, we entered Temple Room 1, where the sacred statue of Nefer Atum was supposed to be. But at some point in the past, it had disappeared, possibly into some museum. The symbol of the spiritual essence of our people had been removed, and all that was left was an empty room. And because Nefer Atum has been taken, confusion, turmoil, and disease rule the earth. For the planet to ascend, for there to be peace on earth, Nefer Atum must be returned to this holy place. Nefer Atum must stand next to his father Ptah and mother Sekhmet. The celestial royal family must be reborn in us as it is in Nut, heaven. In Temple Room 2, we entered into a state of quiet reverence when we saw the Neteru, Ptah, sitting in a kes, a kneeling position of praise. Ptah is the symbol for foundation and building, but his head had been broken off and lost. You cannot, as an African being, build without your head. Without your head, there is no direction. Through study, prayer, fasting, and reclamation of our ancient ways, our missing head shall return to us, making us whole. This is why returning home is a part of the puzzle of our ascension. In Temple Room 3, we found Sekhmet, the lion headed female guardian of all healing. and there she stood totally intact, carrying an ankh in her hand. As she rose above us, at least 2 feet taller than myself and the Mezu Haru sisters, we began to weep and to give praise. Through the unspoken power of my ancestors, I was brought to a Kes, and I began to speak these sacred words in a trance-like state. Divine Sekhmet, you are not in a museum in some far-off land. You are home. You are where our ancestors placed you from the beginning. And it is from this sacred space I speak. Sekhmet, healer of all, holy feminine aspect of the creator creatress. We are one and the same. When I see you, I see myself. All that you are, I am, for I come forth from your holy limbs. The sun disk of Ra, worn on your head, representing divine light, energy, and regeneration, that is me. The lotus scepter that you carry in your hand, representing pure splendor, is mine by nature. And you yourself, a woman lioness, fearless one who stands here unmoved, you alone. Great healer, you have allowed time to bring me forward with my sisters in spirit so that we may awaken into the remembrance of our true way. You, Sekhmet, an aspect of the divine, stand still here to protect and support righteousness throughout the lands. You, the mother who taught Imhotep, the great architect and healer, through spirit, you opened the way to all healing temples and sanctuaries on our precious land. You were the one who was left behind, knowing that your children's children would return to seek out healing and wellness. As a civilization, we may have gone under for a moment, but we've returned in time to heal and to rise up again. Most of our sacred temples have been buried or robbed by ancient and modern thieves, or defaced by various religious sects, or completely destroyed by fire, or inundated by the Nile. But here you stand, Sekhmet, the miracle, healer of healers. You have stood strong and undaunted for thousands of years. You dwell within me, Tua Neter. I sing praise to the sweet Neter, for I acknowledge, live, and teach from the oldest tradition of healing, which you, our divine spiritual reflection, symbolize. We, your daughters, are here to continue in the ancient African tradition of healing and wellness. We are here to pick up the lotus scepter and continue the legacy of healing and divinity for our people and the people of a world gone astray. The world needs our teachers to return again, for our way is the hope and the light. As daughters of Sekhmet, when we depart from this holy ground and return to Amenta, America, we vow to carry your light of healing to everyone we meet. We vow to rebuild the Holy Land from inside our living temples. We vow to carry, share, and spread the remembrance of our way. At Karnak, at the huge and imposing temple of Amun, I came face to face with the sacred lake, which measures 80 by 40 meters. For me, this is where purification began. This lake where our ancestors purified and baptized themselves several times a day. What was most astounding to me was that a large granite scarab, a symbol of transformation, was facing the lake. This told me that our ancestors believed that in order to bring your life into higher resonance, you must first purify yourself in this sacred water for true transformation to take place. The scarab had been dedicated by Pharaoh Amen Hetep, Pharaoh Amen Hetep II, to the sun Neteru, Ra, Atum, Kepa Ra, who was represented by the scarab. In Aswan, at the temple complex of Kam Ambo, The temple of Het Heru had a most profound effect upon my soul. Near the wall of healing was a birthing house where women experienced natural childbirth. It was there that we acknowledged the spirit of the ancient mothers, Ast, Isis, and Het Heru, Hathor. We felt the anointing from a feminine perspective as we observed wall carvings of Ast sitting upright on the birthing stool. I had heard New Age mothers speaking of birthing stools in the 1970s as though they had invented the concept of allowing the power of gravity to make birthing our babies an easier and more sacred experience. Now I saw that Ast has shown her daughters what to do at the beginning of time so that we might birth our babies in harmony. But out of ignorance and for convenience of doctors and hospitals, we birth lying on our backs, placing our feet up on stirrups and going against the flow of gravity. As a result, we have long, painful, sometimes dangerous birthing experiences. Women follow the ways of our ancestors in squatting to birth. This is the way to birth our infants and the way to overall healing. Next to Mother Ost were surgical instruments that we used thousands of years ago, even though historical records claim that Hippocrates of Greece was the father of modern medicine. In reality, medicine began with the African race through Mother Ost and Imhotep. Across from the healing wall was a wailing wall, on which was carved a box containing two eyes that see all and two ears that hear all. Brother Mohammed, our guide, told us that this was the wall where we, as an ancient people, came to cry, to moan, to let go of our pain, and so clean and renew our soul. As my husband and Muhammad continued to talk about this wailing wall, I began to walk toward it with my hands up in a pose of surrender. Heru, Ankh, Ra, Sema called out, "What are you doing?" I replied as I continued to approach and stretch my body across this most sacred wall. "I'm going to wail for myself, for us, our children, and my people, for all that we have gone through as a race, the devastation, the slavery, and the disrespect from the hands of foreigners. I wail for us as a people in captivity. I wail for the rape, anguish, disregard, and lynching and robbery of our culture. I'm going to wail for the land that is no longer our land in flesh, but always in spirit. I'm just going to wail. Priestess Tain Ra Anks Cheta Sent Tahuti and Ngani joined me as we wailed for the past and present conditions of our mothers, our aunties, our sisters, our fathers, our men, ourselves, and all our extended family. We women did what we had to do at the Wailing Wall. We let it go with our quiet, soulful tears so that our cups could be refilled with the original way of Ma'at. We prayed to return to that time when the first people were in tune with the One Most High, Creator Creatress, the time when we were in harmony with nature and ourselves, the time when peace on earth was supreme and divine, the time when spiritual intelligence was the norm, back to the sacred time when art and spirit were one, when the world sat at our black feet and in our sacred temples to study the path of light. Back to a time when women were revered, cherished, respected, and held high within society. Back to a time when women shared power and leadership in the governmental and in the spiritual arena. At Dendera, inside the temple of Het Heru, Hathor, on the banks of the Nile, I discovered a wonderful reality. Throughout the life of my healing work, I had always thought about and meditated on creating major healing centers, places of wellness that would affect planetary change. But nothing in me thought or perceived of such a vision as the massive institutions and healing temples that our ancestors manifested thousands of years ago. As I walked around the grounds where healing took place, I stood in the center of one of the small healing rooms, closed my eyes, and entered my spirit as I breathed in, and my ancient memories returned. I was in the timeless space, and I saw myself at work in this sacred healing temple, living out my past life as a healer. Then, still in a dreamlike reverie, I saw myself bringing others to those same small temple healing rooms in a different land. In my present village and town, Bedford Stuyvesant, in Brooklyn, at Smai Tawi, at Heal Thyself, Know Thyself. Suddenly, my past and present had become one. As I grounded myself once more inside Heru's temple, I realized that witnessing this sacred ground was like being surrounded by a huge holistic healing hospital. It was the supreme wellness sanitarium. There was the sacred lake of purification. It had long ago dried up, but in my inner vision, I could see our people bathing joyfully in the rapture of purity. There were the ruins of the birthing house and the fasting rooms where people came from all over to heal under the spiritual guides of Ast and Het Heru. Then came the baptism of womanhood on the island of Philae at Aswan, where the temple of Ast, Isis, lay beneath the water of Lake Nasir. But now, due to the technical assistance from, yes, both Italy and West Germany, it was possible for them to save some of the monuments and re erect them on the higher neighboring island of Agilka. The temple of Ast now rests inside a womb like place, metaphysically speaking. The great mother Ast is empowered again as she sits inside of this sacred protected space where she is surrounded by rocks that create the womb shape. The Nile water surrounds her, representing her sacred fluids. At the entrance of the watery womb are felucas, the small Nile boats that ferry people who come from all over the globe to sit at the feet of the Great Mother and give homage to the great African queen. From every land they come, speaking in their own tongues, in awe of her magnificence, trying to comprehend the magnitude of it all. To our regret, the mother has been physically defaced, her facial image literally chiseled out by the ignorance of people from various spiritual houses. But she still remains and nurtures everyone who looks upon her eyes of light, love, and guidance. This disrespect for mothers in general that permeates this world, this absolute historical disregard of woman must come to an end, or we are all doomed. Let the mother in you stand up and demand your just respect, reverence, and proper due. There will be salvation according to the degree that the original mother returns to sit upon her sacred throne inside of her sacred self, and we accept her gifts of spirituality, compassion, peace, and healing. Not a moment before the Black Mother, the Nubian Queen, gets her due in each and every land will there be peace on earth. This was the message that I received from the temple of Ast. All the many temples I traveled to only opened me up to the truth of our spiritual African selves and brought home to me where the original spiritual concept of our body as a temple of the living God came from. It was carved into the walls when we, the parents of today's Earth's people, lived in the belief that everything in life centers around the truth our ancestors knew and still shared with those of us who come to them to receive these sacred teachings. One very important key was made clear to me. No one needed to come and teach us about spirituality and the power of the one most high creator creatress for our entire land, life, government, education, science, and healing were totally centered around the power of the one creator creatress. as reflections and expressions of the creator creatress, the priestesses and priests, the queens and kings, the teachers and scholars exemplified and reflected the whole spirit of the society of Smai Tawi, of Upper and Lower Kemet, Egypt. This trip did so much for me personally that I really can't put on paper and into words what's inside my heart. For the mending of my soul and the healing of my African mind were so very deep. At the Great Merkut, the pyramids at Giza outside Cairo, we went down into the foundations that led into a chamber that our ancestors used for initiation. There we sang Hezi, spiritual songs, and gave praise to the divine for giving us an opportunity to return to this awesome sacred place, our home. Then there was the empowering experience of standing on the ground of the magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el Bahrin, where Queen Pharaoh Hatshepsut had left her vibration. That let me know there was absolutely nothing that we can't achieve as African women or as men, because her power, strength, and ma'atness is in our bloodline. All of us may share and tap into her eternal spirit at any point to be used to lead and to rebuild and refortify ourselves and our people into wholeness. It appeared that in nearly every temple we visited, Nut, the Heavenly Mother, ranged across the sky of the ceilings to indicate the holiness of the temples. Nut met us in the same room where Nebhet had stood by the head of Asar, Ast at his feet, to create the first recorded resurrection ritual of an African king man. It was beyond glorious. The vision of Nut carved into several temple ceilings that we visited expressed to me how highly our ancient society regarded women. It revealed that ancient women were the embodiment of sacredness, and that through our spirit, we women folk can womb-nifest all things. Our ancestors left us a legacy of sacredness that I've longed for. Our ancestors have spoken to us from the walls, telling us to become one with nature. For air, Shu, water, Nu, earth, Jeb, and fire, Ra, can heal our body temple as we drink, bathe in, and consume the Most High in all its glorious manifestation. We will recreate ourselves as we meditate on the heavenly realism of Nut, the house of the One Most High. A positive reawakening of the African woman's perspective of self was always a part of our healthy African Nile Valley reality. If we relentlessly seek out the source of our beginnings, we can unlock the mystery and tap into our powers as the original sacred woman. Sacred Woman Initiation, 7-day transformative work. Write your Sacred Woman initiation speech in your journal, your testament to what you have learned on this journey into the 11 gateways and how it has transformed you. Where are you now? And where are you ultimately going from here? Make your commitment statement sitting on and in your sacred seat of the great divine mother Nut, the great divine mother Mut, Ast, sacred seat of spiritual power and high holy quality of wellness. Reflect on each gateway and identify the greatest challenge you experienced. Now spread out your freedom shawl and tell the story of each gateway and its challenge and how you turned its lesson into a blessing. As you take delight in your growth, embrace and appreciate your strides. Remember, with each gateway you have moved through, you have gained new energy, knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment. The time has come to cherish and celebrate your experience in each gateway. Give thanks to the Neteru, for a safe journey, and proudly assume your seat as a sacred woman about to be unveiled. Begin to contemplate the new name you want to symbolize your rebirth as a sacred woman. Your new name should indicate your goals and aspirations. A name is traditionally given at your first birth, and now again as you are reborn as a sacred woman. For example, as you take on the quality of the Most High for a balanced, harmonious life, you may take the name of Ma'at. If you seek divine inner and outer beauty according to your growth and development, you will become Het Heru and be spiritually empowered by the powerful sacred words that express that aspect of the creator creatress. In taking on an African spiritual name, it is advisable to go through a ceremony such as the one presented in Gateway 9. This is because a name will draw a new level of understanding and awareness to you. The name you choose will guide, inspire, enhance, and transform you. So before taking it on, seek counsel from an elder within your spiritual cultural order. Then you must fast and pray so the appropriate name will come to you through divine guidance. Taking such a name is like putting on a crown, so wear it well. Represent your name well. Represent your family, your community with dignity and respect as you carry your name. Walk in the spirit of truth as the creator creatress blesses you through your name. Names are sacred. They tell your history, your past, your present, and your future. So be fully conscious and pure in heart, mind, and body as you receive your sacred name. Acquiring a new name is like being awakened, being born again, or coming fully alive. So a welcoming ceremony and rituals are very much in order as you take on this new life, this new responsibility to self and community, and above all, to the one most high. Pour a libation of pure water or rainwater onto the earth outside your home or onto a plant indoors with offerings of prayer and thanksgiving to the creator creatress. Then to your ancestors, your spiritual guides, then to your community and the needs of your community. Record your visions each day of your preparation for initiation, particularly at sunrise while in meditation. You will receive visions from on high. Record them in your journal and be prepared to share them on the seventh day at your initiation ceremony. Wear white clothes and accessories. For 7 days, wear white from head to toe for purity and spiritual elevation. Cover your crown for spiritual protection. My Nefer Atum, Sacred Lotus End of the Week commitment. I commit myself to establishing and maintaining the Nefer Atum spirit of my Sacred Lotus initiation in all areas of my life. And here y'all go, ladies. Screenshot if you need to. Go ahead and make that commitment. Follow through. Super important. Preparation for the Sacred Lotus rebirthing ceremony. We strengthen and grow with the lessons that we come as we pass through each gateway, each stage of development. We celebrate every new turning of our lives with a ceremony because it charges us and lights the way. Observe the following. Surround yourself with female elders who can advise you from their life experiences and give you direction and support in your new role. Receive advice about your new path and how to make it blossom. Receive a spiritual reading from a Smai Tawi, sacred woman priestess, or a reputable astrologer, numerologist, and or spiritual reader to gain new insight into your sacred calling. Discover the true purpose of your incarnation and what you were born to contribute to life. During your 7 days of preparation for your initiation, you will receive visions that are waiting to be born. Observe your visions, begin to breathe them, stand up and walk them into the world. Preparation, live food preparation, supported by 2 to 4 other sister queens. White ceremonial cloth for rebirthers. White ceremonial wrap for initiate. White cloth to cover birthing stool. Gourd or white bowl for initiates to drink from and wash in for spiritual bath. wooden birthing stool or low stool of some sort, powdered white clay or chalk to circle birthing stool, two blue bowls to place inside of the birthing circle, items for the ceremonial birthing altar, white garments for everyone participating and attending. And keep in mind, the organizers will need to arrange for one or two rehearsals with everyone involved. We recommend making a videotape of the ceremony so the initiate to be can share the experience with her mate and other family members and for the family archives. If you would like to empower your sacred relationships, the ceremony may include your extended family members who have supported you and your journey. A ceremony of this sort can be very healing for everyone who is blessed to participate. It is very important that you be pure and healthy as you enter the final gateway of initiation so that you can appreciate and receive the spirit of Kepeta, your transformation. Nefer Atum, the sacred lotus initiation. As we approach the end of the 11th gateway of transformation, it is time to celebrate our birthing. It is time to celebrate our birthing ourselves into a new, healthier, and more spiritually centered lifestyle. The first birthing ceremonies were enacted thousands of years ago in the ancient Nile Valley when a mother to be was birthing a child. They were sacred rites that only women attended, and they marked the first recorded appearances of midwives, priestesses, who were skilled at bringing new life into the world. Traditionally, from 2 to 5 spiritual midwives were present at the birthing ritual. Because these priestesses lived a spiritual lifestyle, they were able to call forth the divinity from the celestial realm to assist them in this sacred work. This ensured the safety and protection of both mother and child as they moved through this powerful and dangerous transformation into a new life. Through rituals such as breathing, meditating, hezi, sacred chants, and prayer, the divine child came to the village in the form of the newborn, and everyone's life was by its presence. The continuation of the family was looked upon as divine in ancient Kemet and was supported from the spiritual realm. The mother was seen as a reflection of Ast, the great earthly mother, in the ancient Kemetic holy family. The husband was seen as Asar, the great earthly father, and the child was viewed as Heru, a being of light, a child of victory. Today, we perform birthing ceremonies to celebrate our passage into sacred womanhood. This ceremony is very appropriate for women who have completed their sacred woman womb work and transformation. It is for the woman who has worked through her womb journal, danced the dance of the womb, consumed the sacred woman nutritional program, and performed regularly meditation and prayer work over the resurrection of her womb. It is for the woman who has experienced healing in each of the 11 gateways of transformation and taking on the heal thyself lifestyle and has experienced a rebirth, becoming the child Heru, the new light reborn on higher and sacred ground. The rebirthing ceremony is a graduation ceremony for a woman or a circle of women who have completed the sacred woman training. It allows them to feel renewed, reborn, and committed to continue living and sharing sacred woman wisdom. The ceremony is to be presided over by a teacher, healer, mentor, or elder, women who have experience in guiding others through the sacred woman training. This ritual is also very much in order for a woman who has independently applied sacred woman teachings and techniques and desires to celebrate her rebirth, either by herself or within a circle of women supporters. This ceremony is equally appropriate for women with intact wombs and for women who have experienced a hysterectomy, for we are all part of the celebration and the resurrection of the spirit of the sacred womb, man. And then here goes your sacred altar work. Feel free to pause and screenshot that. The sacred lotus initiation, the rebirthing ceremony, sister midwives, elders, Blood and extended family, and friends who support the initiates who are rebirthing are all welcome and requested to participate. Everyone at the ceremony, both participants and guests, should be dressed in white to represent protection, purification, and spiritual renewal. 1. Opening chant and entrance of the conductress. The ceremony is conducted by the presiding Kemetic priestess and spiritual mother queen. She will be assisted by the priestess of whichever group of sisters is presenting the ceremony. As the priestess enters, she will signal the beginning of the drumming by a female drummer who accompanies her, along with the village women chanting Ankh, eternal life, their sweet voices making a joyful sound. Friends and extended family may join in the praise song. The priestess will then give the signal for the entrance of the initiates. 2. Welcoming prayer. As the aspirants enter, the village women call out and shout in a festive African way as the priestess welcomes the aspirant into the center of the circle. As each aspirant stands in the center, she is greeted by the spontaneous chants, praise songs, and dances of the divine midwives. The presiding priestess greets the aspirants, standing before those who represent the divine spiritual midwives. She acknowledges, today in African Kemetic tradition, we celebrate your rebirth as a sacred woman. May the creator creatress, Neter, bless you as you are taken through this birthing ceremony on this great day. May you have a safe journey and a beautiful delivery into your new life. 3. The libation. A libation is poured before the rebirthing altar. See the ceremonial rebirthing altar chart. 4. The purification and dressing ritual of the aspirants. This purification ritual is conducted by the priestess and the divine midwives. This includes washing each aspirant's feet, smudging her body with sage or frankincense and myrrh, placing the white garment of initiation on her, offering her a bowl of purifying herb tea to drink. The village now calls forth the divine spiritual midwives by name to empower the rebirthing ritual. Nut, mother of all wombs. Ast, great earth mother. Nebhet, lady of the sacred house. Meshkenet, keeper of the womb. Ta'ert, mother of the earth. Bes, keeper of music and dance. Lover of children. Het Heru, keeper of beauty, love, the arts. Each divine spiritual midwife will circle the aspirant as the purification ritual begins, speaking aloud of the role she performs in this ceremony and the sacred gifts that she brings, affirming that she carries the energy and blessings of the divine. 5. Smudging. The divine spiritual midwives then smudge the candidates and the entire village with frankincense and myrrh. 6. Blessing. The priestess now blesses the aspirants with the ma'at feather, touching her crown, their heart center, and their sacred womb. Guests of various other spiritual orders may also bless the aspirants, for example, with Native American or Tibetan blessing and purification techniques. 7. Prayer requests for the aspirants. Individually or together, all of the aspirants now recite. Grant that I may reach the heaven of everlastingness and the mountain of thy favored ones. May I be joined with the shining beings, holy and perfect. May I come forth with them to see thy beauties. Thou shinest at eventide, and thou goest to thy mother nut. 8. Acknowledgement. Now the aspirant offers her acknowledgement of each of the divine midwives and reflects on the lessons learned at each gateway and how her consciousness has been transformed. She may use her freedom shawl and the lessons embroidered in that cloth to show us the symbols of her story. The priestess acknowledges the trials and triumphs in the initiate's story. 9. Formation of the birth canal. Divine spiritual midwives gather to form a birth canal. They stand in a row facing each other, arms held high, forming an archway for each aspirant as she approaches the birthing stool. The ancient Egyptians set their mothers to be on birthing stools, or they squatted on birthing bricks to use the power of gravity to help with the birth. 10. The circle of protection. The priestess in charge sprinkles a circle of powdered white clay or powdered white chalk around the candidate sitting on the birthing stool. She next places two blue bowls with lotus like flowers inside the sacred circle to help protect the mother. 11. Spiritual offerings. The priestess places ears of corn before the feet of the candidate for her to give as spiritual offerings to the sisters. This symbolizes that she's prepared to be a reborn child of the divine. 12. Adoration of inner and outer spiritual guardians. The divine midwives representing Ast and Nebhet now seat the mother on the birthing stool and sit at her right and left side for her protection. 13. Charge to the aspirants. Each of the divine spiritual midwives comes before the aspirant, one at a time, to offer the spiritual crown of each gateway of divinity. Gateway 0, spiritual midwife. I, Nut, your heavenly cosmic spiritual mother of the sacred womb, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Nut's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship with my sacred womb in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Nut. Gateway 1. Spiritual midwife. I, Tehuti, your spiritual guardian of the sacred word, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Tehuti's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship with my sacred word in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Tehuti. Gateway 2. Spiritual midwife. I, Ta'ert, your spiritual guardian of sacred food, ask that before you sit in your sacred seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Ta'ert's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship to divine healthy eating, that I may nourish my mind, body, and spirit in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Ta'ert. Gateway 3. Spiritual midwife. I, Bess, your spiritual guardian and spirit and sacred movement and dance, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Bess's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship with my physical body through sacred movement and dance in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Bess. Gateway 4, spiritual midwife. I, Heru, your heavenly cosmic spiritual mother of sacred beauty, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Heru's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship with my sacred beauty in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Heru. Gateway 5. Spiritual midwife. I, Nebhet, your spiritual guardian of sacred space, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Nebhet's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship to create and live within my sacred space in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Nebhet. Gateway 6. Spiritual midwife. I, Sekhmet, your spiritual guardian of sacred healing, ask that before you sit in your sacred seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Sekhmet's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish a sacred relationship with my sacred healing in all areas of my life, in word, action, and deed, for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife, so it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Sekhmet. Gateway 7, spiritual midwife. I, Ast, your spiritual guardian of sacred relationships, ask that before you sit in your sacred seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Ast's divinity. Aspirant. I commit and vow from this day forward to establish and maintain a sacred relationship with all my relationships in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife. So it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Ast. Gateway 8. Spiritual midwife. I, Ma'at, your spiritual guardian of sacred union, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Ma'at divinity. Aspirant, I commit and vow from this day forward to establish and maintain a sacred relationship with all my male reflection in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife, so it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Ma'at. Gateway 9, spiritual midwife. I, Nefer Atum, your spiritual guardian of sacred initiation, guide to inner illumination, keeper of the sacred aromas, divine guide of world healing and unification, Smai Tawi, ask that before you sit in your seat of Ast, you repeat this vow to commit to Nefer Atum's divinity. Aspirant, I commit and vow from this day forward to establish my sacred divinity, inner and outer world vision. I vow to continue to rebirth through sacred midwife Meshkinet, so that I may sit on the sacred power seat of the divine mother Ast that is indwelling, and so that I may wear the illuminated crown of Nefer Atum in word, action, and deed for now and all eternity. Spiritual midwife, so it is. You are now crowned with the spirit of Meshkinet, the rebirther, Ast, the great mother, and Nefer Atum, the illuminated one. 14. Dance of the womb, representing labor and rebirth. The dance of the womb, representing labor and the rebirthing process, is performed to drums and bells by the spiritual midwife, representing the guardian Mut, mother, Renenet, who oversees harvest and fertility. This womb dance represents the beginning of labor, and each movement is symbolic of the contractions of birth. The music and the dance flow through Mut, Renenet, to the aspirant. 15. The breathing ritual and anointing of the lotus. As the energy of labor is transferred from Mut Renenet to the aspirant, she is in full labor now, demonstrated through this breathing ritual, headed by the divine midwife, representing Nebhet, the keeper of the breath. It was Nebhet who stood at the head of Asar, helping to breathe life into him along with his sister As for his resurrection after his murder and dismemberment by his brother Seth. He does the same for the aspirants. The presiding priestess now comes forth to lead the village in the breathing ritual. The divine midwives, representing Ast and Nebhet, go to the mother's side to reenact the birthing with 1,000 fire breaths of Nefer Atum. Ast squats before the candidate, who represents all the aspirants, and together all the aspirants do the fire breaths, representing the birthing process. Nebhet, with feathers in each hand, stands behind the candidate and spreads her wings. With each breath, her arms go up for the inhalation and down for the exhalation, as the entire village of womenfolk breathe together as one force. This collective breathing ceremony allows the aspirant and the entire village to experience their own rebirth. Sister to sister, for we are each other's reflection. My healing and rebirthing are yours, and I claim yours as mine. Note, the village can join the aspirants on their last 100 breaths. 16. The rebirth. The priestess then faces the representative of the aspirants and asks, Sister midwives, I ask you now, is there anyone among you who knows a reason why this sister should not be a candidate for rebirth? If no objections are raised, the priestess says, Midwives, please take your stations. In unison, the midwives ask their aspirants, Are you ready to give birth? The aspirants reply as one in a resounding voice from deep in their wombs. Yes. Are you strong enough? Yes. Have you truly passed through each gateway? Yes. Are you ready to see who you really are? Yes. Are you willing to claim, now and forever, the fullness of your being? Yes. The priestess says, Sister midwives, please raise the sacred mirror. The midwives hold up the mirror before the faces of the aspirants and say, Aspirant, behold the face of your true self. As the aspirants gaze at their reflections in the sacred mirror, the priestess says, When you feel ready, speak these hikah, words of power. My face is of Nefer Atum, Nuk Pu Netert Humt. The drums roll and the shekeris rattle in joyous celebration. Then the priestess says to the aspirants, You have now rebirthed yourselves. You have been reborn as Nefer Atum, a divine sacred woman. 17. The naming. The spiritual midwives then offer the initiate an ancestral charge from the women of the village and ask her, By what new name shall we call you? The initiate says, I am pure at a place of passage that is great. I have destroyed my defects. I have made an end of my wickedness. I have annihilated the faults that belong to me. I myself am pure. I am might. O gatekeepers, I have made the way. I am like unto you. I have come forth by day. My name is sacred name. I am a sacred woman. Nuk put, Nuk pu netert hunt. The initiate explains the meaning of her name. The initiate then say together, I come forth, I shine, I go in and I come to life. My seat is on my throne. I sit in the pupil of my first eye. I have commanded my seat. I rule it by my mouth, speaking and silent. I maintain an exact balance. Season to season, the creator creatress and I are one. I am one coming from one. The priestess then calls forward each initiate by her new name and crowns her with the sacred lotus crown. 18. Honoring and gifting the new initiates. Family members now come forward to acknowledge the new initiates. The eldest family member drapes the seat of the sacred woman with a new cloth. The initiate then takes her seat to symbolize her return to her throne. Individual family members now offer special gifts at the feet of the initiate. This is a special time for the family to give praise and acknowledgement for the profound achievement of their sacred woman who has dared to reach the heights. 19. Address from the priestess the responsibilities. Our planet is dying because the collective voices of healthy, whole women have not spoken out loudly enough. Newly reborn sacred women can channel a high healing that will cause the planet to vibrate at its highest frequency and bring us all back to life so we may be saved. Sacred women, you have assumed your sacred seat of Ast. I now give you a commission for yourself and for planetary wellness. Be sure always to take care of yourself first so you will be able to reach out and serve others. Create a sacred womb healing circle or a sacred woman sister to sister support group. Mothers, draw closer to your daughters and niece. Keep the lines of communication open. Help a sister. Save a womb. Save a breast by sharing information on the sacred woman natural living lifestyle. Help women in need of help. Let the Spirit direct your course. Teach brothers, men, sons, and husbands how to cope with a sacred woman by helping them to connect to their sacred selves. Be a mentor or a spiritual friend to other women in need by helping them to connect to their sacred selves. Devote time at drug and alcohol abuse centers to share holistic wellness teachings. Devote time at shelters as you share your sacred woman survival knowledge with those in need. Raise funds for women in shelters to help them get a new start and to aid them in activating their vision. Encourage women to start and operate their own businesses. Teach the sacred woman text by becoming a certified sacred woman priestess, guide, advisor, consultant. Be an example of a sacred woman all the time to encourage and uplift self and others. It's not over. Now that you have gathered your tools of wellness and sacredness, go forth bravely from your seat of Ast. Place the lotus of Nefer Atum upon your crown, consciousness, and spread the good news and the sweet spirit of the supreme lotus to the planet. 20. Closing prayers. The priestess and the divine midwives, representing Ast, Isis, the great mother, together offer closing prayers, letting spirit be their guide. 21. Sacred Initiate's Prayer. Divine Holy of Holies, blessed be my arrival to absolute divinity, so that I may be a vessel for the world to receive through me pure, loving, healing light. May we all be made whole as it was in the beginning, when the world was pure and filled with green land and purified oceans, clean air, rich soil, and magnificent human light beings. Melanin charged, spiritually potent people who inhabited the earth. The world has now come to the end of the road of its destruction. We take our seats as sacred women so that we may begin again. 22. The Global Sacred Woman Proclamation. Together, the initiates proclaim the truth of their new consciousness through the power of sacred words. The Global Sacred Woman Proclamation. We, the sacred women of the globe, declare and proclaim planetary healing as we sit on our seats of power and purity, swiftly gaining control of our lives and thus directing our destiny. We look out over what we have created, and in deep reflection and intense contemplation, we see our challenges as numerous sacred opportunities, predestined and necessary as fuel for our present ascension. Through self-healing and self-knowledge, with the tools of divine grace, we gather from the four corners of the globe an illustrious tapestry of sacred woman ways envisioned through our inner gateways. We, the sacred women of the world, do not ask for permission, consent, or approval to be who we are. Our hands raised in praise to heavenly nut, our feet firmly planted as roots in Ta'ert, the earth. We take our sacred seat as we absorb the earth's power and stability, fortitude, and consistency. Whether we face tidal waves or windstorm, hurricane, monsoon, rain, or non compassionate man made laws, we shall not be moved from our righteous position, for it is here in consciousness that we sit as sacred women upon the seat where planetary resurrection begins. And that concludes chapter 14. Some powerful information right there, ladies. Go buy this book. Get this book, Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. And on tomorrow, on episode 57, we've got chapter 15, Gateway 10, Sacred Time. Time management, super important. All right, now, y'all be blessed. Expose your gift.